right now. We get right on to Dr. Bagad. Let's just talk to him. Today on the Broken Series, we're talking about something quite interesting. It's for you to listen and find out in a minute.
I'm busy recording a program. Yeah, I'm going to record a doctor's program that's included. Thank you. Let me know if you need more.
Right, it's 10:30, and every Saturday, if you are regular right here on RB2, we get to talk to Dr. Bagad. He's on the line. Doc, morning.
Great morning. How's yours?
Can't complain. I'm alive. I hope you're well too.
That's it. Wake up in the morning and give thanks that at least you can get up. That's
Exactly.
very true. That's very true. Well, we're moving on our way. We've been talking about the digestive system or the gut system, talking about the mouth and the swallowing tube and the stomach and the small bowel. Today we're going to end off this part of the conversation and talk about the large bowel. This is a really important subject because and the thing that obviously comes to everybody's mind in terms of the large bowel is cancer, and it is really rising in our country and worldwide. And the large bowel basically is the bit that absorbs the water that you drink and also uses the fiber that you're supposed to eat, the morocco that you're supposed to eat, to feed the healthy bugs in the large colon. And we know that the incidence of bowel cancer, which is probably third commonest cancer after breast and lung cancer, is rising worldwide, and we feel and suspect that it is because of the change in our diet and the sort of things that we're eating and the sort of things that we're not eating that we should be eating. And unfortunately, we estimate that roughly 1 in 20 will develop some sort of colorectal, which means large bowel cancer, in their lifetime, or other conditions like diverticulosis, which basically is a condition of inflammation of the large bowel, largely as a result of one big issue which we're not doing, and that is to eat fiber. Fiber is something that we don't absorb. Fiber is something that we have in our fruit and vegetables that actually the fertilizer and the food for the bacteria in your gut, and they love it. They manufacture lots of healthy chemicals that get into your bloodstream that are good for you. If you don't have enough fiber, your bowel actually has no traction. It's almost like a car going trying to drive on ice. In icy places, they put spikes on their tires to try and get a grip on the ice. So it's the same with fiber. The fiber is the traction in your bowel, and people don't get it because what they're doing is they're eating an ultra-processed diet. And we come across this every conversation every week. And an ultra-processed diet is food that is manufactured by factories out there that contain very little fiber. We're talking about palichi, we're talking about bread, we're talking about rice, we're talking about pasta, we're talking about fresh chips. This is all stuff that people eat and really contains no major nutrients to speak of, and also no major fiber. Where does the fiber come from? From the same old conversation. I mean, I think we could have this conversation. We could change roles, and I'd be the host, and you'd be the person who talk, because you could actually talk about what we're going to have to eat. We're going to have to eat things that contain lots of fiber, and those are all the traditional foods. It's, lebelebele, it's korong, it's intaklawani, it's bosofani, it's miji, it's kavu, all the stuff that's available. It's cheap, it's free, it's available in your soil. You can grow it, even in a drought as we have. Lots of things, telele, people don't like it, but morocco, all this stuff is actually very good. Dinawa, this contains lots and lots of fiber and gets the bowel moving. So that's really important in terms of prevention of large bowel disease. So this is really important. Tell me, do you eat lots of fiber in your diet?
I try to do that, Doc. Yes, that I told you about my issue.
Yes, and so what is your fiber in your diet?
My fiber, it's more of what do you call it? the brown, anything brown, I feel it must be fiber. Like for example, in the morning, I'd instead of I don't take any cornflakes. I'd rather take why am I forgetting? Brand.
Yeah, you're doing the American Kellogg stuff.
Yes, yes.
You're doing bran and cornflakes and oats and sweet fix and muesli and granola.
Oats is okay, dog.
Yeah, they're okay. It's an American invention. I mean, why don't you eat traditional and eat local? Become not become a locavore like you have.
Tell me what's local.
What's local? You can eat bohobe. You can eat korong. In the morning, you can have
dog bohobe korong in the morning. The morning dog.
Unfortunately, we're becoming so Americanized and westernized. We think that, we've swallowed the whole American pill that you must have, first of all, breakfast, which you don't need, and secondly, that you should be having your Kellogg's. This is all marketing, and these industries have marketed brown because they know that as doctors, we've said, eat things with a lot of fiber. There's lots of brown in quinoa. There's lots of brown in millet, lebelebele. There's lots of brown in sorghum meal. There's lots of brown in corn. It's just we're used to eating this stuff that comes in a box. Honestly, if it comes in a box, it's usually poisonous. That's my answer to most people out there. And I know I can put my head on the block, and lots of dietitians and nutritionists will have my head for breakfast. But it's really important to understand, one, you don't need breakfast if you're an adult. And if you do eat breakfast, make sure it's a breakfast that's full of fiber, because yes, you can eat your oats and bran and cornflakes, but I tell you something, if you measure your sugar after eating a bowl of oats, it is really sky high, and the same with bran and the same with cornflakes, because you're eating not only the fiber, but you're eating a lot of sugar from the wheat that's in there. So yes, you can eat those things, but the aim of this conversation is to say go local. That's all I'm saying, and particularly now with our new budget and our wonderful Minister of Finance increasing agricultural output, there's no excuse, mate. You have to do those things. Now, What are the warning signs to watch out for? The most important thing is to see if your bowel habits change, if you get diarrhea, if you're getting persistent constipation, if you're getting abdominal pain, if you're getting bloating and gas, if you're getting unexpected weight loss. These are red flags that something's happening. If, for example, you're regular and you empty your bowels every morning or whatever time of the day you do it, and you should be emptying your bowels every single day. Those who say, I only go every second or third day, this is not the way it is. Dogs poo every day. People in animals in the animal kingdom poo every day. So should we. And if you're not, something wrong with you. However, if you only go once a day and you change and you're becoming constipated, but you haven't changed any lifestyle issues, that's a warning sign. If you're getting gas, you're getting pain, and even if you get blood in the stool, particularly bright red blood, this is a red flag. Don't ignore it. It may not be something similar like hemorrhoids, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Somebody's asked you already, should I worry about occasional constipation? No, I think mild short-term constipation is common and often self-resolved. However, frequent or severe constipation, I think, warrants a doctor's visit. So that's really important. Somebody's asked here, so what treatment options are available? I do have a family history of bowel cancer. My grandfather had this, and is it a genetic condition? Yes, it does run in families, and if there's a family history, you do need to get yourself checked out, particularly if you're over the age of 25. There are lots of tests. We'll talk about them in a minute. But the treatment depends on specific diseases and its severity. Options obviously include medication, and then there's surgery. If you have cancer, there's chemotherapy or cancer drugs. This is really important. Early detection is crucial for the cancer doctors, because by the time you may present, it may have spread. So that's really important. Somebody's asked you, how can I lower good question, prevention. How can I lower my risk for these large bowel diseases that you're talking about? I do get bloated. I do occasionally get constipated but I know, as you have said, there you go. As you said, if I increase my fiber in my diet, my bowels begin to move better. So remember, fiber is not a medicine. It's something you should take on a daily basis. The more fiber you eat, the better you eat. So maintaining a healthy weight, eating a balanced diet, rich in fiber, limiting processed meats, those hams and cured hams and things that you buy, the bacon, those things are actually not very good for you. And even red meat, I know people don't want to hear the story, but red meat has been found to actually increase the risk of bowel cancer. So that's important. Of course, smoking is crucial. If you're a smoker, you have a much higher risk of bowel disease. So these are important questions. I've got lots of questions coming in here, but I'll pause there if you have any questions.
No, today I don't have, dog. Continue.
Okay. You're scared to tell me what you eat now.
I'm so scared.
Okay, somebody's asked you the very question you want to ask, but you don't want to ask. Are there specific foods to avoid? I think, well, no single food directly causes disease. And I guess the answer, since you want to know also, Sandile, is moderation is the key. You can eat those things you want to eat, but moderation is key. Limiting processed foods, same old stuff, sugary drinks, excessive red meat consumption definitely are beneficial in terms of what's going on. Somebody's asked natural remedies, Naka. You like to talk about natural remedies. What are the natural remedies to help with minor complaints like bloating and constipation? I say first talk to your doctor. If you're getting these things on a regular basis, first ask your doctor if there's something more sinister. But for me, I always tell people, most important, particularly our population doesn't like meds. You've got to increase your water intake, particularly with our heat. Take your fiber, even if it's in the form of fiber supplements. Take a fiber on a daily basis. Take some probiotics like, Madila, or make your own yogurt. These things offer some relief for mild issues, but shouldn't replace medical advice. How important, Naka, is exercise? Oh, it's very important. Regular exercise, managing stress, getting enough sleep, avoiding smoking, all reduce your risk, even of bowel disease. So that's really important. Somebody's also asked here a favorite question: is alcohol consumption a risk factor? Yes, unfortunately, excessive alcohol can increase your risk of certain types of large bowel diseases like cancer. So again, moderation is the key. Again, the same old question: does genes play a role in large bowel disease? Yes, some individuals have a much higher risk. So sharing your family history with your doctor can help assess the risk and see if early screening is necessary. What screening tests are available? Well, the simple thing is first look in the toilet. If your poo looks different, if it's changed color, if it's looking black, if it's looking red, if it floats after you flush, these are signs that something's happened in your bowel. It's a warning sign. You can do a stool test where you give a small sample of your poo into a bottle, sends to the lab, and they can actually pick up whether there's blood in there, whether there are undigested foods. This is an early warning sign that something's going on. That's the sort of thing you can do at home for in terms of home stool tests. I got lots of... somebody said, Doctor, you haven't talked about inflammation of the bowel. I have a family history of inflammatory bowel disease. We talked about that last week. And I wonder whether I'm at risk. Yes, this is a condition called ulcerative colitis. And we talked about Crohn's disease last week, which is an inflammatory bowel disease of the small bowel. The large bowel has ulceration in the colon, and it can be inherited. It results in a bloody mucus, pain, inflammation of the body, inflammation of the joints. It is readily treatable. There are specialists in our country, both in the public and the private sector. You need what is called whoever's written this in or sent this in, you need to go and see a gastroenterologist who's a specialist of the large bowel. They will do what is called a camera test or a colonoscopy of your large bowel and actually look to see whether there is inflammation there. They can start your medication and can be something that you can live a long life with. It's not curable, but it's certainly something that can be managed with a healthy lifestyle. I've got one more question here that I think is important. You have not talked about hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoids, for those who don't know what it is piles. I have hemorrhoids. They're often uncomfortable and often with persistent bleeding on the tissue paper when I wipe my bottom. Are hemorrhoids or piles serious, and what do I do about it? Well, the most common cause of hemorrhoids is constipation, because you're pushing hard. And the reason why people are constipated is they're not eating enough fiber. So that's why it's important to make sure you get your fiber. Fiber and water are the real key ingredients to have a regular bowel motion on a daily basis. If you're getting constipation, you push hard, there are little veins and arteries at the near your bottom that actually begin to enlarge because you're putting so much pressure when you're sitting on the toilet. And those things enlarge and they can actually open up and bleed. So if you're getting fresh blood, it usually is piles. And of course, the first thing to do is to make sure your bowels are regular and they're soft and they're smooth and you're eating lots of fiber. And if it's very painful, you can take suppositories. You can actually reduce the inflammation. You can buy them with a prescription. Things like Anbisol and Sherryprox are very good suppositories. If they persist or you actually feel a lump outside your bum that's coming out, that generally means your piles are coming out. Called an external piles for the person who's written in this question. Those actually often need to be cut out. Sounds painful, and it is painful. We take them out and we either inject something into them so they actually shrink. But it's a serious, painful condition that needs management. So if you're getting blood in the stool, maybe piles, go and see your doctor about that. So that's really important question. Do you have questions while I'm scrolling down these questions here?
Today, dog, I'm scared. No.
It's really important. People don't like to talk about it, but it's really an important part of our anatomy. Somebody's asked you about bloating. I get bloating in my lower part of my bowel, and whenever I eat, my bowel feels really full. You can get what's called a toxic megacolon, where the bowel begins to enlarge because you've got the wrong bacteria in your gut. If you've taken long-term antibiotics, you may disrupt the natural bacteria in your gut. You're not taking enough fiber. Your bowel can enlarge, and we call it a toxic megacolon, which means basically it's become huge. And if you get distension of the tummy and gas when you're eating something, you need to go and see a doctor. If it's just mild, one of the best treatments is actually a little bit of charcoal. You can buy charcoal without a prescription. Half a teaspoon of activated charcoal will absorb the gas in your system, so that may be important. Somebody's asked you, what is the end of the large bowel? I don't know what that means, but I guess first of all, the large bowel is used for water absorption. The remaining wastewater or poo is held in the rectum, which is the end part of the bowel. I think that's what the question is asking. And there are nerves and muscles in the rectum to help hold on to the poo until you're ready to pass it through the anus, which is the opening of the large bowel. I'm not sure if I've answered the question, but that's basically the anatomy of the large bowel, so that's really important. Somebody's asked you, I have an aunt who has had her large bowel removed because of cancer. She now has a stoma. A stoma is basically a pocket which collects the poo on the outside of the abdomen. Can she live a normal life with this stoma? A stoma is basically like a packet that collects all the poo because she had cancer and the cancer was taken out. Yes, most people can live without a stomach or large intestine, but it's harder to live without the small intestine because that's where, like we talked last week, is most of the digestion occurs. With large bowel, this means you need to drink more water because the water is not being absorbed because the large bowel has been removed. But a lot of people live without their large bowel with this packet that sits on the outside called a stoma that collects the poo, so that's really important. It's interesting that people out there are listening because some of the questions indicate that some of their family members have been affected by this. So that's really important in terms of large bowel. I know I haven't really touched on lots of the stuff there because there are lots of frequent questions coming in here, but I'm really glad we're having an audience that is increasingly interested in what we're talking about. So next week, before I knock off, we're going to talk about one more organ in the abdomen. That's the major detox organ in your body, your entire body, and that's the liver. It's really important. The Chinese place great emphasis on the liver, and we'll understand why next week. What is liver? What does it do? How do we prevent liver disease? How do we take supplements to protect the liver? What poisons the liver? All questions for next week. So listen in next week, 10:30.
Thank you so much, Doc. Till next week.
Okay,
Bye. All right, that was Dr. Baggett giving us that broken body series. For now, can we please go back to Peak Way, like I did say, DBS Road Show. It's Ask Kako Pico and, of course, Adams Park. If you're that side, go that side and see what's happening. Kako Peak Way. Every day 4th of July.